Hi, my name is Ed Paget and I'm the creator of the Scoliosis Correction Protocol. In this video, I want to show you how we put a series of exercises together to help someone with a reverse C-shaped curve. But before we do that, there are some key terms that I'd like you to be familiar with. In this demonstration, we are using a person with a reverse C-shape or a dextroscoliosis, meaning that the apex of her curve is on the right. We can use top-down mobility exercises to change the curve from the top down, and we can use bottom-up mobility exercises to change the curve from, you've guessed it, the bottom up. Now, ideally, we would have the person standing or seated, as this loads the spine from the above, and this is how we spend most of our time. But sometimes we may want to take that compression off the spine and work with someone in an all fours or lying position. So in this example, we're actually going to start in an all fours position. And first, we move our arms to create a top-down motion to the spine, and then we move the legs to create a bottom-up motion to the spine. We could then move to a sitting position as this stabilizes the pelvis as gravity loads the spine. And we could pre-position this position from the bottom up by putting a lift on the one side of her pelvis. As a practitioner, I can use my hands to help put a fulcrum on the spine so that as she moves from the top down, she gets a more focused move into her spine. But we know the body moves in 3 dimensions and we have to respect gravity, so we'll also do some exercises standing up. Now here we're using a top-down movement to change the upper part of the spine, and I'm using my body to create a fulcrum on the apex of the curve, which is on the right. Also, we can do these movements from the bottom up, and we simply lift one side of the pelvis to make her curve temporarily worse. In this case, it happens to be her left side. And then we'll use her muscles on the long side of her curve to lift up the right hip up and down. Now, in addition to this, we also need to address the rotation as well as strengthen the muscles of the spine. To do this, we can put ankle weights on and use bands to decrease rotation that commonly happens with scoliosis. Now, we can do this both from the top down and the bottom up. For example, we can use a resistance band like this in the frontal plane that uses both the hands and the legs at the same time, whilst as a therapist, I can step in and use my hands to create a fulcrum point on the apex, which isolates the movement even more to her curve. Lastly, we need to think about exercise to create more endurance to the muscles. So we can have her pre-position herself in different positions to help de-rotate the spine from the bottom up. And then we can use weights and resistance bands to get her muscles to increase their endurance through specific exercises. I hope this has piqued your interest in the different ways we can use movement, resistance bands, and body positions to help people slow down, stop, and reduce their curve.